faculty, staff, parents, loved ones, and most importantly, graduates. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and share a very special occasion in your lives. I was invited to address you this evening as the President of the Missouri Senate, an honor bestowed on me by my colleagues. However, long before I came to serve in that post, before my neighbors elected me to represent them in the Missouri legislature, before I made my start in public service on the St. Charles City Council, yes, before all of that, I had already learned everything I really needed to know about public service. In fact, much of what I needed to know about life in general in a rather ordinary place. That place was a small Italian restaurant. Before I was ever called senator, people addressed me as dishwasher, busboy, pizza boy. I grew up working in the family business here in St. Charles. I began washing dishes when I was 12 years old. There was no escaping the occasional Friday or Saturday night phone call from my dad informing me that since a dishwasher had failed to show up for his shift, I'm going to borrow a phrase from The Godfather, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I headed into work in order to get the job done. At age 16, I began bussing tables, and by 18, I was the maitre d'. When I headed to college in Kansas City, I earned spending money by working as a busser and cook at the Bristol Bar and Grill on Country Club Plaza. After receiving my bachelor's degree in political science and a stint in culinary school, I returned to the Bristol and began my career in food service management. A year later, Dad would call again. He said he needed me to come home and run our other facility, a banquet and conference center. So with my new wife and a baby on the way, we moved back to St. Charles. At 24, I was running the entire operation. Often, I found myself performing the same work I had done as a teenager, washing dishes, mopping floors, prep cooking, and serving tables, with the only difference that this time I was wearing a suit. I learned to make quick decisions when catering for hundreds of people and reacting to each new problem that arose. And for those of you who have had to work weddings, you know, if you can deal with a bride and her mother on the biggest day of that young lady's life, a day that is expected to be perfect, you can handle just about anything. Though it was sometimes frustrating and exhausting, it was rewarding and also a tremendous learning experience. The goal in food service is 100% guest satisfaction. The job entails keeping a well-maintained facility, providing professional and capable food service, and delivering food quality that exceeds your guests' expectations in taste, appearance, and quantity. And to accomplish all of that while making at least a small profit. That experience prepared me for my future, but not in the way that I expected. As a state legislator, I have transitioned from food service to public service. My guests are now my constituents. However, try as I may, in 15 years holding elective office, I've been unable to attain 100% satisfaction. But I'm still trying. As a member of Senate leadership, I work for and with 33 other senators. Each has his or her own goals and agendas which reflect both their personal conscience and or the views of those they represent. Here are a few lessons from the hospitality industry that have served me well in the Capitol building. I believe these lessons will be important for you graduates as you embark on this new chapter in your lives. Number one, never let them see you sweat. I thought about saying service with a smile, but that's not enough. It's important to have a good disposition, but you must also have confidence in your ability and exude that confidence to those around you. I remember working the omelet station at Sunday brunch, and occasionally the line would get very long. During those times, I told myself, don't get flustered, keep your head down, and keep making omelets. At some point, I would look up and the line would be gone. Problems will arise, but it's important to take them in stride. Whatever happened, you expected it, right? Likewise, as a public servant, I try to always have a friendly and patient demeanor. During the legislative session, we may be locked in debate well into the wee hours of the morning. Tensions may run high, feelings can be hurt, relationships can be strained. But it's important that we keep a proper perspective. The job is about more than the 34 of us that assemble in Jefferson City. At the end of the day, we're making decisions which affect all Missourians. We need to put aside our personal feelings, listen to all sides, and come to the best resolution possible. Next, mise en place. Mise en place is a French culinary term meaning put in place, or prepare for the task at hand. If I catered an event for 1,000, I would work backward from the service time to plan my preparation. Food needs to look good, taste good, and there needs to be enough of it. 2.5 hours of dining service wasn't possible without 6 days' worth of prep work. Time can be your friend or your enemy. Our legislative session allows 5 months to move meaningful legislation through both chambers and to reconcile differences. And while government isn't structured to run like a business, we can, if we plan ahead, maximize our chances of having a successful session and move forward on many of the important issues of the day. For example, as Senate President, I moved our planning meeting from December to November, which has allowed for our priority bills to be filed sooner, for debate to occur earlier in session, and this has allowed more time to build consensus on thorny issues. Next. If you're not trying to get better, you're falling behind. The restaurant business is a competitive industry where you work for pennies on the dollar. In addition, the expectations of the dining public have never been higher. To stay in business, you have to always be trying to get better. After all, your competitors are. And so it is in government, and for that matter, in nearly any endeavor you will attempt in professional life. The world in which we live in is not static, so we must always be willing to listen, to learn, and to act on what we have learned in this ever-changing society. Instead of no, how about yes if? I've heard it referred to also as the art of the possible. At the banquet center, we had deadlines every day. No matter what happened, if someone didn't show up for work, if a food item didn't come in, if a piece of equipment broke down, it didn't matter. That sit down for breakfast for 600 was still expected to be served at 7 a.m. and completed by 7:15 a.m. In a similar way, there are always problems that arise when you work in an environment where your fellow members of the Senate, the House, or perhaps the governor all have different points of view depending on the subject. Yet, as those who drafted our Constitution intended, we must all work together to pass a budget and to move necessary reforms. At the end of the day, those who can work well with others become the problem solvers, and they are the ones who ultimately shape policy. Next, you're only as good as your last meal. If a person has a great dining experience, they tell 2 people. If someone has a bad experience, they tell 10. One bad meal when you're serving the movers and shakers in your community, and it's quite possible you'll hear things like, boy, that place has really gone downhill. And in politics, your last legislative success is quickly forgotten. So don't rest on your laurels. Take stock of a job well done and then move on to the next problem. Our job as legislators is unending. We pick up where others left off, and we will leave work for those who follow. I doubt I'll achieve nearly all of the hopes and dreams that I have for our state and for those I serve. But my challenge is to not let perfect be the enemy of good. At the end of the day, I will be satisfied if I've helped make Missouri a better place to live, work, and raise a family, and helped those around me be the best that they can be. As you begin this new chapter in your lives, don't be afraid to start small, to get your hands dirty on duties others may consider unimportant. You never know when yesterday's menial task may become the life lesson you draw upon tomorrow. To the graduates of Lindenwood University class of 2013, I congratulate you on your achievement.